Yep, old man Kovac here with another exciting episode of the Living Environment Bellringer. You know, we start every class with the Bellringer, which is an awesome opportunity for you to do a little review and also get to respond and also get to, give feedback and get feedback too. So, yeah, that's why I like doing it with the Ed Puzzle, because old-fashioned way, I do my Bellringer and maybe one or two kids get to respond. Now all of 20 some odd of you get to do it. It works awesome. Let's do this.
All right. Hey now.
Mr. Kovac's class. It's Mr. Kovac's class.
You might learn a ton.
It's Mr. Kovac's class.
It's interesting too.
It's Mr. Kovac's class.
And he's super cool.
It's Mr. Kovac's class. The monkey that's tons of fun. It's Andy. It's Andy. Who's the monkey that's number one? Hey, Andy. Andy. Who's the monkey that's peachy keen? It's Andy. Andy. Who's the monkey with the jellyfish gene? It's Andy. Yay! Yay. Andy is the transgenic monkey. Of course, what does transgenic mean again? That's right. He's got multiple species DNA in his genome. And if you remember the story of Andy, it had to happen when he was, the transfer of the jellyfish gene into his genome happened when he was just one cell big. And then that one cell became two became four became eight, etc., etc. Each time that cell copied itself, each time there was a copy, that jellyfish gene got copied along with the regular monkey genes. And now every cell in Andy's body has got that one jellyfish gene that glows. Right? He's transgenic. Now, if Andy were going to have children the old-fashioned way, there'd be a 50% chance that he'd pass on that gene, because that gene is only on one of his chromosomes, the one he got from mom. Right? So 50% chance. But if you use selective breeding, right, you could then of his offspring just breed the ones that glow, and then you wind up increasing the chance until eventually you could have a whole herd of glowing monkeys, a whole troop. And that would be really cool. You know, we're going to talk a lot about evolution, but that's how evolution happens with natural mutations. You know, if they survive, they get passed on, and then they wind up taking over a population just because they tend to work better. Same with maybe glowing monkeys. I don't know, but if glowing monkeys is a detriment to the life of a monkey, that is, if you're glowing, you're not going to live as long, well, that gene is going to get cut out pretty quick. And that's when we talk about evolution, our next topic. It's all about which genes stay and which genes go and what causes them to stay or go. But we're talking about genes in general and Andy. And I was thinking, it'd be cool, instead of breeding Andy, just clone him. If you could just copy him, you'd be guaranteed to get a monkey that glows. You copy all of his genes. The problem is, how do you copy a complete animal? Well, I'll show you. Dolly. Dolly is probably the most famous sheep on Earth. Dolly's no longer with us. Dolly has since passed on. She was born in 1996 and lived a nice, long, sheepy life. But sheep don't live for too long anyway. So Dolly, but what makes Dolly famous is she was a clone. Okay, she was an exact copy of her mother. All right, a clone. The only thing different is that Dolly is younger than her mother. Right, let's take a look at how they did this. They did what's called nuclear transfer. All right, to do this, they needed some sheep. First sheep they needed was Dolly's mother. And they took a cell. They took one cell, just a regular old epithelial cell. Actually, they took a bunch of cells and they let them grow, and they found one, and they cut the DNA. They basically sucked the nucleus out of that cell. Okay? Then they took an egg cell from another sheep, and they took that egg cell and they sucked the nucleus out of that egg cell. Right? And then they put the nucleus from this egg cell into the nucleus from this regular cell into that egg cell. And now you had a complete nucleus. Then you just let that cell copy itself over and over and over and over again. You got an embryo. You implant that embryo in the uterus of a sheep, and that embryo grows and grows into a fetus, and then eventually you give birth to a sheep that is the clone of that original. That's the exact copy. It's like these two sheep are mother and daughter, but also identical twin sisters. They are clones. Okay? The beauty of that is nowhere did we need a sperm cell, nowhere did we need a ram. We were able to make this sheep just from other female sheep. Right? Think of the advantages of being able to do that. If that was cost effective and fast, it'd be a much easier way, or much better way to grow livestock than to put it out to chance of the old sexual reproduction chance. I mean, it's a great way to eliminate any chance of deleterious alleles showing up, right? So that's Dolly, the first cloned sheep. Since Dolly, cloning of big animals has happened thousands of times. In fact, it's huge in the livestock business because of what your product is going to be. All right, so that's how you clone a large animal. If we'd clone Andy, we would have to take one of Andy's cells. We'd have to find a female monkey to make egg cells. We'd have to switch the nucleuses around. And then we'd have to find a female, could be the same one, who would get pregnant with Andy too, and would give birth to the twin brother of Andy's clone. If that makes sense, you got modern genetic engineering.